Right, so now that I've packed all of the manuals back into their boxes, I've just opened the manual protector with the SimCity manual in, just so you can get a better look at what I did. So this was another manual that was water damaged, similar to the Pop and Twin Bee manual, but more severely so. And even after ironing it, it still left the paper really deteriorated and just almost like a powder. And it was very, very difficult to stop it from falling apart or come, like ripping. It just wanted to crumble apart in your hands. Thankfully, most of the pages I've got like a gloss or a satin coating, so that it meant that after I'd wiped all the sort of like stains off, just using some pledge and a cloth, I managed to get them looking clean and fresh, and then the iron sort of pressed them all flat again. So they look as nice and clean, and which is great for this manual. It's nice and full colour, lots of detail, lots of information. It really goes into, great depth of how you can get the most out of the game. So it really is a nice manual that I wanted to protect. But the front cover, the way I managed to protect this was very similar to the other video that I mentioned of how to protect Sega Saturn artwork, in that I removed the staples and then got the front cover, and then I got the laminating pouch. Laminating pouches, you get different kinds, but the ones that I used have like a textured back and a gloss front. Now obviously it's up to you whether you'd want a textured sort of satin effect on the cover or whether you'd want gloss. I wanted gloss, so I had the artwork facing, upwards with the gloss over it. And then to make sure, because it is printed double-sided, I just got another sacrificial piece of white paper and placed that up against the other side, closed the pouch, so you had the textured side bonding to the sacrificial piece of paper, and then once it was put through the Fellows laminating machine, which is just heated rollers that draw the paper through and melt the laminate onto the paper, you can take the resulting sort of sandwich of artwork and paper, guillotine all of the edges off, remove the paper, and then you're left with the printed paper side and then the laminated gloss front, and then you can just reattach it. And that meant that this paper is all reinforced, so it's as strong and sturdy as it was when it was first printed. The only trouble that you get, and this is why I didn't do it on the Pop and Twin-Bee, is that the laminate does have a natural tendency to form like a plastic memory. So it's permanently always going to be, flexing out, which is why having the protector pouches, obviously you put the manual in that and everything presses perfectly flat and, looks nice and tidy. But it is a downside of that process. But if you've got a manual where the front cover is so degraded and so sort of tattered and torn to pieces, this is a way that you can make it look as best as it can be, rather than having to throw it away or print a different one out. So that's just some more information in regards to options for preservation. Excuse me, I can't seem to get rid of this cough. So the other thing that I mentioned is the Secret of Mana Official Secrets Guide. So this is Prima Games before they became Prima Games, I think. Pretty much, I wouldn't say it's perfect, and it is written for an American audience, so it does, slip up every now and then in terms of localization. Like the photographs for the controllers and things like that are obviously photographs of the American one rather than ours. But it does give you lots of information, and it's just another source of seeing the artwork in full rather than the more truncated look that you get on the American or European box art. Obviously, if you bought the box art for the Famicom version, that's done in not profile. What's the word for it? It's vertical as opposed to horizontal, so you get the full picture of the tree rather than it being cut off at a certain point. But in any case, this is another way that you can see the artwork zoomed in and see the detail, and just how intricate and well done it is. And like I say, it's a great source of information, and it's a window into the time period because the phraseology, the way that it's written, is so 90s, and just ooze that kind of cheese of that era. So you feel like that kind of stuff, or you remember that era anyway. It's just jam packed with the nostalgia of that time. So definitely a good find. But this was probably the last one that they've had on the UK eBay for quite some time. I've not looked since I bought this, if there's been any more, but I imagine that there would be some. It could, I mean, I know this was sold in the UK because it's got a UK price on the back, but I just don't think that the game didn't sell massively well. And then it's like, would you pay even more to get a guidebook for it? Not as many people did at the time. Not until you started getting RPGs like Final Fantasy VII, which the instruction guide that came for that was probably the best-selling book for that year, I imagine. But yeah, just two more things I wanted to cover. In terms of next videos, I've got a few replacement boxes for Xbox 360 games that I want to cover, as well as PS4 box protectors as well, just to show them off and show off games that they particularly work well with, because I think a lot of these products just could do with that extra little bit of clarification of here's how you can use them and what they look like on a real game. And besides as well, they tend to specify like one usage, but I'd just like to show, well, here's all the other things that you can do with the box protector and other items that you can fit in them to get the most use out of them and the most value out of them. So just a few other things to cover. I'm also looking into filming footage on emulators, just so we've got some gameplay footage and I can talk about some of my favorite games that way, because I don't own a capture card, so capturing from actual machines is a bit difficult for me. But if there's anything in particular that you guys want to see in terms of my collection, or other products you'd like me to test, or just opinions on retro gaming in general, please put it in the comments, and of course like, comment and subscribe as much as you can. Reblog it, put it on Twitter, get the information out there really. The main thing for me is the links that I'll put in the description. Think of this as more as me wanting to get a product that I care about out into the community, more than like growing the channel and anything. But there you go. Thanks very much for watching the video today, guys. You have a great day.